Let's start with positive Uncle Colin. Aaron Rodgers comes to Pittsburgh, took a tone-deaf and mostly dead offense for the last 7 years, and he's made it competent. Not great, not elite, but they were atrocious in the red zone last year. Now they're top 3. Time of possession, yards per play. It's a competent offense. But as I'm watching them beat lifeless Miami, the downside is they're currently drafting 20th, and they have a stopgap at quarterback, no long-term solution, and they don't have any assets to trade up. T.J. Watt, old. Cam Hayward, old. Jalen Ramsey, old. They let go of Pickens. Aaron's old. So how many first-round picks do you want to give up to go get Mendoza or maybe a Dante Moore? So, again, it feels good. It's a candy rush, but it's Groundhog Day. Stopgap at quarterback, barely above 500, rinse and repeat, and that's where we are. And they also are dominant at home on Monday Night Football. They just don't lose. So I feel like the Steeler model is what I have a problem with. They care about 2 things that just don't matter to people with high standards. One of them is, hey, we've got a winning record. Sean Payton never talks about that in Denver. It's not a thing. 60 teams since 2003 have had winning records and missed the playoffs. If you have high standards, winning record is not a top 3 or 4 thing. Winning division, winning playoff, winning conference championships, winning Super Bowls, winning a big free agency on a star quarterback in his prime. That's the stuff people care about winning. The other thing is winning on Monday Night Football. Yippee! How about winning in January? Been a while. So I think, again, Aaron Rodgers deserves, to me, a ton of praise. He's a 42-year-old guy, and he was much better. I mean, he's a different class of quarterback than Tua. The Dolphins got to cut bait with Tua. That thing's over. He is a backup quarterback in this league. But I think this one stat about the Steelers really sums up the organization. 17 teams in the NFL, slightly more than half, have a positive point differential. Where are the Steelers? 17th. just treading water, just barely, just got their chin above it. And that's what they are. Aaron has turned their red zone woes into red zone wins. At 42, not a great O-line, not a dependable run game. OC. So Aaron deserves all sorts of praise. And short term, it feels really good. But I look at last night, I'm sitting there in the third quarter, and I think they had like a 21-3 lead, and I'm like, what does it mean? It feels like Aaron is one of those consultants that used to come by local TV stations or radio stations I would work for, and it was a fresh set of eyes, and you'd bring them in, and they could solve some little problems in the building. But consultants always left pretty soon, and all the big stuff like bad ownership or a bad GM or, not very good content, they couldn't solve the big stuff. Aaron can't solve the fact they spend way too much money on defense, and Aaron can't solve the fact they still just love bragging about winning on Monday Night Football. So Aaron's going to leave here pretty quick. Maybe comes back for one more year. So congratulations. Aaron deserves a lot of praise. I've been critical. He's done a good job. They were a mess in the red zone. They're now good in the red zone. Top 3 in the league. They were bottom 4 last year. And Aaron's always played well in these cold, harsh environments. He was a California kid, but Green Bay, Pittsburgh, he's good in these spots. I mean, between Phillip Rivers, Kirk Cousins on Thursday, and Aaron Rodgers, old guys are crushing in December in the NFL. So Kansas City has been a really well-run organization for a long time. I mean, the Hunt family does it right. They're going to miss the playoffs for the first time in 11 years. Not just Mahomes, pre-Mahomes, Alex Smith, they make the playoffs. And my interpretation of this is missing the playoffs is perfect. It's a cold glass of water to the face. Because sometimes you make the playoffs. Pittsburgh's a great example. And you're like, you know what? We're inches away. This is a rebuild, not a reboot. I'll give you an example. The last 3 years, Kansas City, with Andy Reid and Mahomes and Travis Kelce, Hall of Famer, are 16th in points per game, 18th in yards per play, and 24th in big plays. Does that sound like a tweak in an offensive league? Here's Albert Breer on what the Patriots' Belichick decided to do.
Interestingly enough, was almost at the same juncture of Brady's career as has happened with Mahomes now. Look back, right? Like, so 2008, Brady goes down. Matt Castle wins 11 games. That causes the Patriots to say, okay, we're going to lean in and try to win with this aging roster one more time. It doesn't work in 2009. Then the beginning of 2010, Belichick goes in and literally tears all sorts of evidence of any championship football off the walls and says, we're starting over again. And then they really got on a heater from a draft perspective.
I honestly think that's what Kansas City needs. I've been asking every guest, rebuild or retool. Who's their fourth best player? Trent McDuffie, Mahomes, who may not be available next year, Creed Humphrey. Who's their fourth best player in their prime? Because the Rams have about 12. Eagles have 12. Lions have 9. Start looking around. Baltimore's got 8. So the Chargers, by the way, in division, are getting both their offensive tackles back, and Harbaugh's going to ace his 3rd straight draft. Like, they've done really well drafting because Harbaugh, Ortiz, they know that college game. By the way, Bo Nix is getting really good, and that Russell Wilson dead cap hit, it's off the books. They're going to get better. When you got a Harbaugh, Sean Payton, Bo Nix, Herbert in division, tweaking is not their issue. 24th on big plays. They have offensive issues, and that's with Andy Reid, the best offensive play designer arguably we've had since, like, Bill Walsh, right? Like, it's not a tweak. You got to take this boat back to port and rebuild it. Think about this. The NFL allows 40% of the teams in this league into the playoffs. Jacksonville's getting in. Houston's getting in. Not historically well-run franchises getting in. If Miami would have won last night, they'd still have a life. The tone-deaf to offense Steelers are probably going to get in. Baltimore, offense is broken, completely broken, still may get in. Kansas City won't with Reid and Mahomes. I don't buy that it's a retool. Again, boat back to port. Rebuild it.